Welcome to Sound Mind International. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever you might be watching this from, welcome to Sound Mind International with your host. And this week's title is Parenting Children with Mental Health, taken from my anchor scripture of Psalms 127, verse 3, and it reads, "Children are a gift from God. They are a reward from Him." And as you can see on my left, I have our guest speaker, who is my mother. She is a clinical advisor as a profession. So would you like to take it away and tell our audience or parents who might be parenting children with mental health? Would you like to educate us a little bit more?
Of course. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are. My name is Kola. Yes, my daughter has introduced me. I'm a clinical advisor with a background of nursing. But today's topic, as she's mentioned, it's parenting with mental health issues. But our main focus will be on depression and anxiety. As we know, these are the very common mental health issues affecting our children. I'm going to be talking from a parent's own experience. As if you've watched Gracia's clips from before, she's had a battle with depression. She's come a long way. She's done quite very well. And we give God all the glory. And as we are aware, as parents, most of these things we can miss them with our children. I wasn't perfect. I missed a lot of them with Gracia. And it is my hope with parents who are watching out there that you are able to spot some of these symptoms, because the earlier you spot them and they are dealt with, the better is the outcome. Because sometimes we are told that prevention is better than cure. So if you spot them, you can prevent the situation from escalating further, and for your child needing to use medication, or even in the worst case scenario to be admitted in a mental health hospital. I'm not sure, Gracia, where you want us to focus on. Is it more of the parent, or is it more of the children, or we just tackle a bit of each?
I think a little bit of each, but to stay focused on the topic is children with mental health.
Perfect. So what I'm going to discuss is initially spotting the mental health problems with our children. So from my experience, as I mentioned, I quite missed a bit of them at the beginning of the Gracia's situation, or some of them I just chose to ignore, because as parents sometimes we blame ourselves and say, this can't be happening to my child, this is not right, this is not true. We go into a state of denial instead of addressing the issue which you are seeing or which you are spotting and discussing about it. How do we spot these early symptoms of our children going into depression or going into anxiety? Sometimes they appear to be like increasingly sad. Somebody who has been happy, jolly, all of a sudden they're always in a low mood. They don't even smile. Most of the times they'll be locked away in their rooms. Because I remember initially Gracia used to spend a lot of time in her room. She used to lock herself. I remember at one point I had to take the key from her. Whether that is right or wrong, it is for you, a parent, to decide, because all our children are different and how we intervene differs from community to community. And sometimes they lack the enthusiasm. There are some activities they used to like doing, and then all of a sudden realize they can't even be bothered. And their energy level is always reduced. They always complain of, I'm tired. They are not even wanting to go out with their friends. Some of them might have sleeping problems. Some of them can have a change in their eating patterns. And most times they also have issues neglecting their personal hygiene. All of a sudden they used to polish up, do makeup, and all of a sudden they're not bothered. Even when you're going somewhere, like they're not putting that effort they used to put in. And some of the children will become very restless. Even in very young children, when you realize your child is struggling to make friends or retain the friendship they are in, these are some of the red flags you need to be looking out for. And in some children, they start dropping in their academic performance. they were performing quite well, and all of a sudden they are coming home with very low grades. Some of them become destructive in school. So at the moment, it's best to work even with your teachers in case they observe anything, or if you get a report on the teachers about your child, instead of complaining, sometimes it's good to reflect on what that is saying and act on it. I'm not sure that Gracia, you want to intervene there or mention anything else?
Yeah, it's true. Thank you very much, Mom, for everything that you've mentioned. But when you mentioned about like sometimes being in denial, would you say this attitude, is common in the Black minority ethnic parents, or what are your comments on that?
It's depends with the culture. I'm from the African community. That is very common because mental health in the African culture, most of it is classified as a taboo. Sometimes they'll say it's a curse, and some of it we say it is spiritual. We'll say it is the devil, it is the demon. Most of the times we don't want to talk about it. We just want to bury things, under the service. We just want to pray and say it is all over, it is all done. We don't want to reach out there because of the stigma. We don't want people saying, oh, our child has got this and that. So it's dealing with those issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So the next stage, once you've noticed these red flags with your child, the next step is how do you go about addressing this issue? Because it's one thing spotting them and it's another thing dealing with them. Because most of our children, especially teenagers, most times they will not open up. Some of them will not even want to talk to us as parents because they'll say, Mom will never understand, Dad will never understand. I don't want to tell them my situation. So how do we go about discussing what we've spotted in our child? We need to create a good time and make time to spend with them. So identify what your child likes. If they like swimming, if they like going out, to a cinema, or if they like doing like just household activities, like even cooking or baking, or if they like going for bike rides or even for a nice walk. So identify what they like. So when you are really free and not focused on any agenda, is when you bring up this topic. Then you just need to state it in a very non-judgmental manner. Because I know from where we come from in Africa, we are always blaming someone or something. Sometimes, mostly the devil is always blamed for most of the things which don't go right, or blaming even the school. So avoid being judgmental and avoid blaming anyone. Just state it as it is. If you notice they are sleeping a lot, or if you notice they are not spending time with their friends, just say, for the last few weeks, I've noticed that you are not spending time with your friends. I've noticed you are locking yourself in your room. Is there something you would like us to talk about? Sometimes they might open up. You also need to assess the mood of your child, because teenagers are full of the mood swings. If they are distracted or they are busy or they don't want to engage, then it's better to leave it for another day when they are more relaxed. Then they'll be able to open up for you to discuss about the whole topic. And during the conversation as a parent, it's very important to reassure your child. All through, they need your assurance. They need your validation. So if your child opens up and starts discussing about the issues they are experiencing, don't ignore them. Don't judge them. Mm-hmm. Validate what they are saying. Mm-hmm. Don't let your emotion, don't let your belief take over. Because sometimes you're caught our drama queens in our minds. And sometimes they like overacting when it's not their time to perform. So it's important to silence that drama queen and listen. Validate what they've said. And don't tell them what they need to do. Because that would be would be your own opinion. But the best way to approach it is to ask them whether they've got something in mind, they planned on how to overcome the situation they are facing. Then you discuss about it, you explore it. Then at that point is when you decide, because this will be depending on what signs or symptoms you've noticed to your child, is when you discuss about it. If what she's saying or he is saying is something which is doable, you explore on it. If it's not doable, you also explore on it. Then in the process, you'll come up with so many options and they'll continue opening up. And then that's when you determine which way am I going forward. Does this situation need escalating to your own GP or to your family doctor? Or does it only need counseling? Has it come to a point whereby they will need medication? But if it is noticed quite early, it is something you discuss with your child, you create time with them, most of them can resolve. Because we know our children undergo different mood swings and situations, especially when they are growing up. Or sometimes it might be a relationship breakdown. It might be they are just struggling with the academics. And these things will affect them. Maybe they want to be associated with a certain group of teenagers and they are facing that rejection in that certain peer group. So you explore it, but if you realize you've tried everything, then it's always good to escalate it to your GP or to your doctor, then refer for counseling. Wherever you are watching from, these facilities are there, and there's a lot of information online as well, which you can get support for your child. It's a lot there. So you just need to look out, read and understand. Because as a parent, it's also important to educate yourself to know what are these mental health challenges our teenagers or our children are facing, so that you can have an understanding. Then you'll have a better way of tackling it because you've got that understanding. I'm not sure, Kurashe, you have a question up to the end or you want to chip in?
Yes, please. I just wanted to kind of chip in and ask a question. You know, when you mentioned about, some parents, putting kind of that drama queen, their reaction, which is so typical, because online we have this like vines where people do like a typical African parent reaction, because obviously, that kind of like attitude is kind of expected like from us. So do you think maybe that's why some children kind of or may commit suicide, because they're kind of afraid to even go and approach their parent to tell them like this is what's happening before they even find a solution? So how would you deal with a child who is suicidal?
So for a child who is suicidal, you need to find a way of this child opening up to you. Because for a child to become to the point of being suicidal, that's like the last stage. It's like they've explored all the options and they've reached at the end of the road. They are finding there's no way out. There's no way I can get out of this situation. The only option I have is commit suicide. So if a child exposes or expresses that they are getting suicidal thoughts, it's very important not to ignore these thoughts. Always, if they are opening up about their suicidal thoughts, talk to them. Ask them specifically, what are these thoughts which you are getting? What are these thoughts telling you? Do you intend to carry out what these thoughts are telling you? They are telling you to harm yourself. Do you intend to carry it out? You need to open up and ask them these specific questions. And if you are planning to carry it out, at what point, at what time are you planning to carry it out? But some of these conversations are best dealt with a professional if it has reached to a point of committing suicide, because they will know how to explore around the area. They will know what to say to them. So for you as a parent, when it reaches that stage, it's good and it's important to reach out for professional help. Reach out for professional counseling. Because sometimes you might have a problem, you think this is the end of the world. But once you've discussed with someone, once you've opened and discussed, you realize, this is nothing. In the course of my work, I get teenagers calling, they want to commit suicide. I want to die now. I don't want to face tomorrow. And once you've spoken to them and explored the options which are there, they realize, I'm wanting to commit suicide because my boyfriend or my girlfriend are just broken up with me. Is it the end of the world? You are only 18, you're only 20. So it's exploring these options with them, but you need that experience. So that's why it's best directed to a medical practitioner who's got the experience of dealing with these issues. But as a parent, when you realize that, as I said in the beginning, it is being there for your child. It is giving them the support they need. And it is upon you as a parent creating that environment at home. Let your home be an heaven, not like a place they are dreading to go back home. I can't face mom, I can't face dad. If you create such an environment, they won't be able to open up to you. So it's creating that environment and creating time to spend with your kids. I know we are living in very busy times, and most times we just give our kids the gadgets, the phone, the computer, keep yourself occupied. But what are they watching? What are they getting? What information are they getting online while we are busy working? So it's important to create time with your child and know what is it they are doing online. Who are their friends? It's important as a parent to do that. I'm not saying I'm being perfect, and Gracia is here, she's a witness. I was also a busy bee mom. But I realized when things have already started going wrong, I need to amend my ways. I need to create that relationship with my daughter. I need to be able to spot when she's happy, when she's sad. I need to understand her. If you start it at the beginning, it's an easy journey and you'll enjoy your parenting and you'll not reach to a situation of people wanting to commit suicide. But if these things go undiscussed or covering them up, then the worst case scenario is someone committing suicide. So many have done it. So many of them are even thinking about it as we speak, but there's help which is out there. I don't know whether you want to say something, Gracia?
No, you've pretty much said everything, Mom. I really appreciate how you were able to kind of speak from both a parental perspective and a professional perspective. So would you like to give our audience a little bit of background of your profession and how you've been able to gain so much knowledge, especially around mental health?
As I mentioned earlier, I'm a clinical advisor with the background of nursing. I've also had a bit of training in mental health. Not like in depth to say I'm qualified mental health practitioner, but just a bit of experience through my work, because I've worked as a nurse for over 26 years. So in the course of my work, I've come across so many different situations, and as well as in my work as a clinical advisor, I get the opportunity to speak to one of these mental health patients or teenagers or even adults who are dealing with the mental health issues ranging from anxiety, depression, or even medically diagnosed mental health issues like schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorders. So I build up more of the experience, and listening to them, you learn quite a lot. And it is with this information I get, as my daughter said, are you able to share? Then that's where I'm in a position to share with you through my experience as a mother, and as well as from my medical background training as well.
All right. Thank you very much, Mom. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in and actually practically encouraging us. It's been nice, I'm sure you're watching this, to have something different for a change as opposed, to prayers and the scriptures, even though we do encourage you to stand strong on the word of God. But please do go back and listen. And I hope you can practically apply what you have just heard. And I hope it helps you and your child, your children, or your family. And thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Until next time, keep thinking.